Hi everybody, I'm Kevin Keller, the CEO of CFP Board. I want to thank you all for joining us today. We're so excited to share information with you about our upcoming public awareness campaign. I think before we get started, I'd like to recognize that these are unusual and stressful times, and we appreciate the tremendous work that all CFP professionals do to take care of your clients' stresses and needs, but at the same time, just a reminder to make it a priority to take care of yourself and your loved ones during these continuing uncertain times. So with that, I will say we are grateful that you're taking time today to stay connected to CFP Board and our work to uphold CFP certification. Before we get started, let me cover a couple of housekeeping notes. If you run into issues with the audio for this presentation, or if it just seems like the slides are out of sync with what you're hearing on the audio, refresh your web console. There's a Q&A function on your screen that you can use to submit questions to us at any time. At the end of the presentation, we will address as many of those questions as we can get through. If we don't get to your question, rest assured that we will follow up personally after the webinar. And we will be posting a recording of today's webinar on our website, which probably all of you know is cfp.net. So given our current remote working arrangements, our speakers today are kind of all over the Washington, D.C. area. I'm joined today by Gail Reisman. She is CFP Board's Director of Advertising and Brand Engagement, and she's in Upper Northwest DC. And we're joined by members of our advertising agency, White 64. Heather Knight is Group Creative Director, and she's in Alexandria, Virginia. And Missy Lieber is Media Director, and she is in Bethesda. This afternoon, we'll be sharing background on our public awareness campaign, including why we have it and what it has accomplished so far. We'll review the brand positioning of the creative campaign and preview 2 television spots and other creative that we're using this spring. We'll take a closer look at the media plan. My experience is that's where folks, really have questions. Where will we be and on what platforms? We'll inform you about the recent Let's Make a Plan.org, or as we call it at CFP Board, LMAP for Let's Make a Plan. The redesign and review some of the key concepts. And finally, we'll discuss how the paid media gets extended through public relations and other communications efforts to support the CFP community. Our public awareness campaign started in 2011, so this is actually the 11th year. It supports CFP Board's mission to benefit the public by granting the certification and upholding it as the recognized symbol of excellence. In fact, it's the very essence of upholding CFP certification as we communicate outwardly. The idea of a public awareness campaign was generated by all of you, the CFP community. When I first got here, I was on the road listening, as we still do, and hope to do in person again soon. And we heard interest in this kind of campaign. We continue to see high levels of support. Our most recent survey of CFP professionals found that 91% of those who responded rated promoting and building the brand as either important or very, very important. It was in fact, the top priority of the survey when we asked you what you wanted from CFP Board. And awareness remains one of CFP Board's 4 strategic priorities in our strategic plan. We have seen significant success with the campaign during its first 10 years, and we're excited to share with you more today. Before the public awareness campaign began, unaided awareness, and we'll get into a little bit more about what that is, but unaided awareness of CFP certification was just 17%. That means that only 17% of your most relevant prospects could bring to mind the CFP certification without us prompting it. 75% of these consumers responded before the campaign that they had at least heard of CFP certification when the brand was mentioned to them. There's quite a bit of fluctuation in these measurements year by year. We track awareness with our research partner, Ipsos, through an online tracking study. And we use the same methodology even before we launched the campaign and then yearly after the campaign, immediately upon the completion of the campaign. When we look at the 5-year rolling averages of the same measures over time, we've consistently been able to maintain a significant gain in awareness over where we were initially. For the most recent 5-year period, 2016 through 2020, unaided awareness, again without prompting, when we ask what one designation or certification do you think about when it comes to financial planning, averaged 25%. And total awareness, that would be the combination of both unaided awareness plus aided awareness when we say, have you heard of CFP or Certified Financial Planner? Total awareness was 85%. In 2021, we'll continue to make driving unaided and aided awareness of CFP certification the primary goal of the campaign. Several other measures of brand health have seen significant increases since the campaign launched. The percentage of consumers surveyed who would recommend a CFP professional has increased a whopping 43 percentage points since 2011. The percentage of respondents who voice a preference for CFP professionals has increased threefold, and those that express their intent to use a CFP professional has more than doubled. To share more details about the plans for this year's campaign, I'll turn it over now to Gail Reisman. Once again, she's our Director of Advertising and Brand Engagement. Gail?
Thanks so much, Kevin. In 2018, CFP Board underwent extensive qualitative and quantitative research among both consumers and our CFP professionals. And this research identified new insights for our brand, which led to a new brand promise. Our advertising campaign strives to communicate to potential consumers that partnering with a certified financial professional provides confidence today and a more secure tomorrow. The target audience that the campaign is focused on, we call mass affluent initiators. These are individuals who are the primary decision makers in managing their personal finances. They are between the ages of 35 and 64 and have investable assets of between $100,000 to $1 million and a minimum household income of $100,000. These mass affluent initiators describe themselves as individuals who value learning new things. They're optimistic, responsible, self-confident, and have a practical outlook on life. They are more likely to trust expert advice versus a do-it-yourself approach. And this audience was identified at the beginning of the campaign, but it was also validated through analytics in 2019. When consumers think of financial planning with a CFP professional, we want them to think of the emotional benefits that a partnership with one provides. And these benefits include holistic thinking that incorporates all aspects of finance, or a roadmap towards reaching financial goals. It includes personalized, comprehensive, and flexible plans, and plans that are created in their best interest, that inspire confidence today and tomorrow. Now, I'd like to introduce Heather Knight of White 64, who will discuss the creative more specifically.
Thank you, Gail, and hello, everyone. We're pleased to say that CFP Board continues to be in a strong position to engage its advertising with its customers who need and are seeking financial support and expertise. Now we have the opportunity to take what we've learned from the previous iterations of the campaign and apply it to our creative. This year, we've decided to leverage our Cal and Val creative execution. This has been shown to resonate very well with our audience. For those who may be wondering, recent research in the wake of COVID-19 has told us that the visuals in this spot continue to provide an aspirational view of the future, particularly for our MAI audience, and so they remain appropriate. However, we have made some adjustments to the voiceover. These allow us to emphasize awareness of the CFP acronym, make a strong connection between CFP professionals and financial planning, and highlight retirement planning, which has continued to rise to the top of our audience stated needs. Now I'm going to play for you the commercials, the 30-second and 15 television spots. Each spot will play 2 times.
We've saved our money, and now we get to spend it our way.
But we worry if we have enough to last.
For retirement planning, investment advice, and more,
look for a CFP professional. CFP professionals can help you craft a complete financial plan that gives you confidence today and tomorrow. Find your CFP professional at letsmakeaplan.org.
Our Confident Forever plan is possible with a CFP professional.
We've saved our money, and now we get to spend it our way.
But we worry if we have enough to last.
For retirement planning, investment advice, and more, look for a CFP professional. CFP professionals can help you craft a complete financial plan that gives you confidence today and tomorrow. Find your CFP professional at letsmakeaplan.org.
Our Confident Forever plan is possible with a CFP professional. Our Confident Forever plan is possible with a CFP professional.
A CFP professional can help you build a complete financial plan. Visit letsmakeaplan.org to find your CFP professional.
Our Confident Forever plan is possible with a CFP professional.
A CFP professional can help you build a complete financial plan. Visit letsmakeaplan.org to find your CFP professional.
Our television advertising will also be complemented by NPR radio and podcast advertising, and a variety of digital and social media advertising, as well as search engine marketing. On this slide, you see a sample of some of the static digital ads, as well as the visuals for some of the social ads that we will run. These are complemented by multiple dynamic in-article banners that run within online financial article content, as well as some unique partnerships with streaming video channels to capture our audience in the streaming television space. Now I'd like to turn things over to Missy Lieber, Media Director at White 64.
Thank you so much, Heather. Our media objectives continue to be to increase awareness of and preference for CFP professionals among the target audience and drive them to letsmakeaplan.org, the CFP Board consumer website that facilitates the search for a CFP professional and provides rich content on the financial planning process and financial planning topics. The media landscape today is dynamic, with consumer behavior and media consumption evolving, but we believe we're well positioned to leverage the most recent trends. Media has changed a lot in the past year due to COVID-19. And just like in spring 2020, we are ready to take advantage of opportunities in this changing landscape into 2021. The increase in remote work has affected overall media consumption and time of day consumption, and we've adjusted our media plans accordingly, as well as continuing to account for the increase in streaming TV activity. Given our objectives and the current trends, we'll continue to use television as the primary campaign medium, layered with streaming TV, digital and social media advertising, search engine marketing, and public radio. We'll have a heavy presence across financial, news, lifestyle, and we'll return to sports programming this year. We'll be using a combination of 30-second and 15-second ad units as well this year. The 30-second ad units will be used strategically on television and streaming TV for storytelling, while the 15-second ads will add frequency to the campaign. As always, we'll be tracking and optimizing the campaign in real time. These strategies will provide us strong reach and frequency nationally, generating over 1.3 billion impressions throughout the campaign. Now, while TV viewership is still high and will be during our flight, the TV spend is slightly lower in 2020, and the dollars shifted to streaming TV, radio, and search. TV still makes up the highest percentage of our media mix to maximize reach, with streaming TV and digital media covering over a quarter of our spend. Radio, search, and social make up the rest. Advertising campaign will begin the week of March 29th. Radio will run for a 6-week period starting April 19th through the end of the campaign, which ends just before Memorial Day. Search engine marketing is always active. We've reflected that here by showing it in the week prior to and subsequent to the 9-week campaign flight. We'll have a wide breadth of media partners which are reflected in this chart here. As previously mentioned, we'll focus our attention on news, lifestyle, financial content, and we are bringing back sports programming again. And now I'm going to pass things back to Gail to talk about how the paid media campaign is extended even further.
Thanks so much, Missy. In addition to our paid media, we'll seek to maximize and optimize public relations opportunities and use our CFP Board ambassadors to extend our brand message. Our owned assets, like our website and our social media pages, will also enhance our reach and frequency. Now, I'd like to take a few minutes to update you on letsmakeaplan.org, or LMAP, CFP Board's consumer website. LMAP was originally created and remains the primary call to action for the public awareness campaign. A key component of the website is the search for a CFP professional function. On average, there are about 750,000 users visiting the website annually, and they're performing on average 550,000 searches for a CFP professional each year. In May of 2020, during last year's public awareness campaign, LMAP saw its highest traffic month since Google Analytics began reporting in 2013. The majority of ongoing financial planning content is written by our CFP Board ambassadors, and this content is increasingly seeing press coverage. A redesign was overdue. The technology and functionality of the site had not been updated since the original site was launched. So the redesign was built into our 2020 awareness goal. We set out to implement a data-driven, consumer-tested redesign of the site that, number one, educates consumers about how to select a financial planner that best meets their needs. Two, that includes a Find a CFP directory containing self-reported information and CFP Board disciplinary history. And third, that also makes it easy for consumers to find potential disciplinary actions identified through other sources. The strategic objective of the website is to empower the consumer to make an informed decision about choosing a CFP professional who fits his or her circumstances. We designed a research plan that was anchored in what the information consumers, our core users, are looking for on the website that would help educate them, what content engages them to use the site, and what empowers them to make an informed decision to work with a CFP professional. We also included CFP professionals in our research and other stakeholders to ensure that there was no misalignment across these groups. We conducted both qualitative and quantitative research up front, and then we did user testing mid-design. The research informed the type and depth of the site content and the most important financial planning topic areas and the desired criteria for the Find tool. Now I'd like to display some important pages from the new website. Here you'll see the website's homepage. In alignment with the research, the simple navigation focuses on getting ready for financial planning, how to choose and move forward with a financial planner, and access to the variety of content on financial topics that consumers have interest in. Front and center is the portal to search for a CFP professional. Consumers can enter an address, city, state, or zip code. They can select the planning service that they're interested in, and they can also search on the home page by the last name of an advisor. Some certificates have raised questions about how the search results are sorted and displayed. The tool uses a widely used interface with Google Maps. When a user types in a zip code, city, or a state, Google selects a central point within that geography. It then delivers random results within the selected radius. If someone types in a specific address, however, Google will deliver results based on the closest proximity to that address, and then it works outward. Please know that we're gathering all feedback from both consumers and CFP professionals, and will refine and improve the technology as needed. Here on the next page, you can see the listing of advisors that are returned in a search. On the left, you can see that the user can then refine the location or the planning service or use additional filters like a client focus, company name, minimum investable assets, and languages spoken. Consumers can contact the planner via an online form or directly through the phone number provided by the CFP. Each CFP professional's profile includes links to his or her broker check and IAPD pages. Links to other security regulators' sites are also now made available in the planner's page. Here you can see just some of the financial planning topic areas that are covered in the site. There are more than 60 topic areas that can be found throughout the website. New articles are written by our CFP board ambassadors on a weekly basis. We create an annual content calendar driven by the learnings from our research on topics of most interest to our target audience. The redesigned website provides new educational information and guidance on the different ways a client may pay a financial planner, which was a topic of strong interest according to our research. In a future site update, CFP Board will be adding a feature that will add new information to CFP professionals' listings about how a consumer pays for the planner's services, such as hourly fees, flat fees, or a percentage of assets under management, among other options. These payment types will also be included in an optional search filter for the tool. Before we conclude, let me inform you of the campaign resources that are available to you to extend the reach of our campaign. Our corporate website, cfp.net, hosts a wide variety of tools for each of you to extend our message. They can be found at cfp.net/PAC. There you can find links to our TV spots, banner ads, a sample print ad, sample radio spot scripts, and social media posts. We hope you'll find these resources helpful and will use them to support our branding and marketing initiatives. Now I'll turn it back over to Kevin, who will moderate questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Gail and Missy and Heather. We've got, I think we have a lot of people who've watched Mad Men because they are recommending all kinds of changes. There's lots of interest going on. The first question I want to go to is for Missy. It's a media buy question, and the question comes from Emmanuel, and he asks, does the TV spend include money spent on over-the-top services like Hulu, Amazon Prime, Peacock, etc.? Missy, I think that's right up your alley.
It is. Thank you. And thank you for the question. The TV spend actually does not include or reflect any dollars that are spent in OTT/streaming TV. Those fall under the digital category right now, but there's a significant amount of dollars invested in OTT and an increase year over year from last year to reflect the changes in overall OTT streaming TV viewership.
Hey, Missy, do you know about how much money is devoted to OTT, as you call it? Or can you get that? We'll come back to you a little later if you don't have that right there.
I actually do. 10% of the overall media budget, roughly a little bit over $1 million, is invested in OTT/streaming.
Got it. Thank you very much, Missy. Chad asks, are these slides going to be available somewhere? And the answer is yes, we'll make those available. We have another I think this is it's a strategic question from Greg. And Greg picked up on our target audience. It is, as Gail explained, a proprietary target audience that we've defined as the mass affluent initiator. So it includes that mass affluent number, or that that a lot of demographers use, $100,000 to $1 million of investable assets. And I get this question a lot when I'm out. So, Missy, I'm coming to you on this because I think it's a media buy, but I want to talk about it. Greg asked, why are you not targeting 65? I think he means 65 and over. And, when we launched the campaign and ongoing, we made a strategic decision because our budget is less than 0.5% of all of the money spent on banks, brokerages, and insurance companies in advertising to have as narrow a target as possible. And so that was partly for the media buy reason, but clearly NPR, and you saw the Golf Channel and all of those areas, have a reach beyond the 35 to 64. But Missy, talk about how, if you would, explain how that target impacts the media buy and what the spillover looks like on either side.
Great. Thank you so much. In terms of measuring and identifying where we should advertise, and as well as what programs and networks and different types of media channels reach our specific MAI, the goal is to have as little waste as possible. And when we're looking at the performance of different mediums as well as programs, we look at how they deliver against specifically that audience of household income, investable assets, and within that age range. The good news is that typically, and we're seeing this continue, is that any kind of television tends to over-deliver on the older end of audience demographics. So, when we're negotiating television or we're negotiating radio, we're negotiating against an age-specific demo. So, we want to make sure that we're not over-delivering and that we're buying our specific audience and programming and media targeted to that, but we will specifically over-deliver on that 65 audience, 65-year-old. You don't want to skew everything there because that will eliminate, our potential audience that falls into the 35 to 64 age category. But please, rest assured that we are reaching that audience quite well as the qualitative side of things in terms of, household income and investable assets.
Great, Missy, thank you for that. Alan has a question which I will take. Alan asks, can I, as a certified financial planner professional, opt out of the public awareness campaign? And if not, why not? So, Alan, we made this decision more than 11 years ago. The public awareness campaign helps fulfill our public mission by making CFP the recognized standard of excellence for competent and ethical planning. One of CFP Board's strategic priorities is growing awareness of the certification and of the good work that CFP professionals do. And our CFP community has consistently rated building and promoting the CFP brand as their top priority for CFP Board. So in order for the campaign to be successful, we must have an effective level to the extent possible of media spending. I've already mentioned it's 0.5%. And all CFP professionals benefit from the positive impact of the campaign. So, the board made the decision not to allow certificants to opt out. The amount of your fee that goes directly to the campaign is $145, goes to the direct expenses of the campaign. And by direct expenses, that's all of the media we buy. We had a question here from Rob. how much do we spend on the campaign? It's about $12 million a year spent on the campaign, goes directly to the expenses of the campaign. The agency fees, the media buy, as well as one full-time equivalent person at the staff who manages that program. So, Alan, thank you for that, as well as Rob, thank you for that. Let me go, Derek had a question, and I've had this one out on the road when I'm talking to CFP professionals. How long are you going to keep doing the campaign, Derek asks. Originally, the campaign was approved for a 4-year period. The board later adopted a resolution allowing the campaign to continue indefinitely, provided it continues to reach the goals. And so we have annual organizational goals tied to specifically to that, to the awareness. Here's a strategy question. Steve writes, why are there both 30 and 15-second spots? Heather, I'm coming to you for that.
Sure. By having both of the 30 and the 15 TV spots, we try to take advantage of the benefits of both. The 30s really allow us to tell a longer story and provide more detail, but the 15s are what give us a high frequency of getting the message out there. So you'll see in Missy's media plan, there's a heavy use of the 30s in our cable TV this year, and then those 15s are appearing in many of our digital and other spaces.
Heather, I've got a follow-up question, because a lot of people, and again, this is the 11th year, and we've been through this, and I've got some questions coming in online. Talk about how the message that was actually created, how that came to be, because when I talk to the CFP community, frequently I will hear, why don't you say how hard it is to become certified, or how much education we have to have, or all the good work that what financial planning is. And obviously we've carefully constructed those 15 and 30, but just talk about how the message comes together and why sometimes those kinds of issues aren't addressed in the actual ad.
Sure. The thing is, we need to get people to know about CFPs and to want to find a CFP. And so I think our focus has really been on those letters, that acronym, trying to make that people aware of that and make that stand out in people's minds, so that they can go to Let's Make a Plan and find out those kind of additional details about what makes CFPs so special and so different. But knowing that we have such limited space, limited time in our messages, making sure that we've got a very clear top of mind message that we need to get across, and that we can repeat that, because I think you probably realize, obviously, we're all very attuned to the advertising that CFP Board is doing, and we really recognize it when it comes on TV or when we hear it on the radio. But the average person is getting bombarded with so many different messages every day, so that if we can really kind of hammer home that CFP message, that's what will really help us to get through and get a foothold. Great.
Thank you very much. Missy, for you, Pam is mindful of COVID-19 and asks if we've changed the media plan because of the current pandemic.
Absolutely. I think that since last year, there have been a lot of changes in terms of how media is consumed, which media is consumed, what time of day it's consumed. And I think we saw that the shift most with television, and there was a huge proliferation in terms of streaming TV. Somebody mentioned OTT usage, as well as social and digital media. the media buys. And then last year, we had planned on sports programming, which was canceled. And then as things have started to come back, for example, with sports, which indexes extremely well against our target audience, we've added that programming back in. I think some of these changes are going to be permanent as far as media consumption habits, but overall, for example, as discussed, even though TV, usage and consumption remains strong, we saw a big increase in, people binging and watching TV on Roku and Hulu, and some of those other types of channels. And the investments have been, pivoted to reflect those changes in media consumption. The good thing also about the types of media that we're in is that we continue to monitor things on a daily, weekly basis and can optimize and shift the plan, accordingly. That's what being nimble is, and that's what we need in these times of the COVID pandemic.
Hey, Missy, I think the only people who have more obscure language than financial services is advertising. What do you mean when you say it indexes well against our target audience?
So when we look at syndicated research to understand whether or not a particular program or website reaches our audience well in terms of both reach and composition, we look at, for example, an index. So if the regular average, market average person is 100, any, let's say CNN.com, we'll use that as an example. If CNN.com indexes against our MAI target audience at 160%, that means CNN's audience is 60% more likely to have MAI users or viewers than just the average website. So I hope that clarifies that.
Missy, thank you very much. Gail, oops, sorry about that. Didn't mean to step on you there. Gail, Chris asks, can we embed these videos ads in our website? How does Chris go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So these videos will live on CFP Board's YouTube channel. You can get to them by going to that toolkit that I mentioned at cfp.net/PAC. And so you can link to the videos. You can't actually embed the discrete video file because we can't kind of lose track of the distribution, but you can link to the YouTube page and have that available on your website.
Great, thank you very much. Let's see, next question, can we embed the next question is for Missy. Aaron writes, how does this media buy differ from last year? If you would, Missy.
Absolutely. I think there are a couple of things that jump out from this year's media buy, specifically related to video. In terms of television, we were able to add more weeks this year. I think with TV viewership as it's been, the team was able to really negotiate some serious and deeper rate discounts, which resulted in more advertising weeks on air. As far as primetime advertising, last year we were really only able to run 15s. This year we're adding 30s into our primetime cable TV mix, which is great. Again, it's piggybacking on Heather's ability to tell a longer story. And in terms of streaming TV, again, understanding that shift in media consumption and viewership, increasing the dollars allocated to streaming TV to align better with that viewership. And again, you'll see a little bit of presence also in sports advertising and programming, which has come back this year.
Great, thank you very much. Well, I knew this question would come sooner or later. Carl asks about the hotly debated topic of removing compensation last year and, about that. And we talked about that. Let me just kind of set the stage for that. Our old compensation filter defined how an advisor publicized his or her compensation model based on just the three categories, as I think most people probably know. It was fee only, commission and fees, or commission only. It was not necessarily responsive to how consumers would actually pay for the service of either financial planning or financial advice. Only about 7% of our web searches actually used that compensation filter. That said, our research did show that consumers are interested in how they pay for a CFP professional and identify advisors that are paid in a certain way. So let me give you an example. If you think about fee only, there could be a number of ways, but there could be assets under management, there could be an annual retainer, there could be monthly retainers, there could even be hourly. All of those in the past were lumped under fee only. When people know I work for CFP Board, they ask how, I need somebody, I'm not looking for a long term, I just want to check up. I want somebody to look in, am I doing okay? Could I get an independent? Well, that's, probably an hourly or a retainer. Our old search methodology didn't have that, and it really is indicative of what our research told us was that people want to be able to search on how they might compensate. So that's a little bit of the background. Currently, there is no search functionality, but Gail and our web team are working hard to add back in a filter for how the client pays for the services. So thank you for that question, Carl. Missy, everybody wants to know about the media buy. Molly asks, are you just running banners for the online advertising?
Molly, the answer is no. We're actually running a combination of traditional banner ad units, several unique custom display ad units to capture consumers' attention in order to increase overall awareness. We're also going to be running video ad units. Just a few of the places, just to keep an eye out, that our ads will run are going to be on NewYorkTimes.com, CNN.com, Business Insider, Fox Business, Yahoo Finance. All of our ads, though, are targeted specifically to our MAI audience in order to minimize waste, and all of our ad units are geared to support awareness and generate and drive traffic to letsmakeaplan.org.
Thank you, Missy. Follow-up quick question on podcasts. Are we advertising in podcasts?
Absolutely. I mean, this is another example of media places that we see continued increase in consumption, and certainly during COVID-19. We have been advertising there in the past. We continue to. Our audio ads appear across a variety of podcasts, including a lot of the NPR podcasts, but not limited to that. And the team will be using our audience targeting, again, to specifically reach our MII audience and to have minimal waste.
Great, thank you. Gail, question for you. Matt writes, how are these ads different from the past few years?
Sure. Thanks, Matt. So this campaign began in 2018 based on the insight that I mentioned, that partnering with a CFP professional provides confidence today and secure tomorrow. That it was sort of the key central insight from the research we performed. Going back to the question that was asked earlier about why is the messaging what the messaging is, the campaign really tries to tell stories about consumers and their relationship with their CFP professional and really get to the heart of the benefit to the client in working with the CFP. So we've had a variety of different executions throughout the years. Cal and Val, the execution we're using this year, has performed the strongest and focuses on the #1 topic of interest among our target audience, retirement planning. So we decided this year to focus on that particular ad. Although, as Heather said, we did make some modifications to the voiceover so that we're really making, calling out CFP and CFP professionals to increase those awareness numbers that we talked about.
Great, Gail. Thank you very much. Heather, a couple of questions about COVID. Lauren asked, should people in the commercial be wearing masks? Thea asked, is it okay to show passports and other travel imagery when everybody is not vaccinated? If you could kind of wrap those two together and just how we thought about that.
Sure. Obviously, this was very much on our minds this year and last year as well when the campaign ran. So we researched public sentiment and have continued to throughout the COVID crisis, among our MAI audience to see, how they feel about, seeing people together, about, travel imagery and those sorts of things like you see in the Cal and Val spot. And the message has been, throughout that, people understand, that commercials don't necessarily reflect the exact current environment. While our audience may not be having in-person meetings right now or may not be traveling themselves just yet, everyone, the CFP Board's public relations partner, everyone on the research partner, felt like these images were still appropriate. The research showed that, people were still aspiring to, travel and these kinds of things in the future. And so that, this really kind of helped us to convey our message of planning and of looking ahead and also of the trust, that the clients have with their CFP professional by, being able to show them in those meeting scenarios. So that's what the research has borne out and that's what we have chosen to use to guide us.
Thank you very much, Heather. Real quickly, Gail, what's the link? Marty asks again, can you please provide the link for accessing the campaign resources? So for Marty.
Sure. So again, that's cfp.net/PAC